Hey guys, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How was the exam? Any questions regarding exam or any comments? I guess it was easy. Nothing very difficult. Did you find anything you guys want to discuss? Okay, good. So, let me share my screen. We will be again continuing our matching network and matching discussions which we had been studying. So far we studied about different matching topologies using inductor, capacitor, series L, series C, and to transform one impedance into another. So now what I will be talking about today, and also we will be going through some more questions and um, um, we will be trying to do some more matching, but we will use a different matching technique. And the idea here is that usually, we studied in our first lecture about how when we use inductors or when we use capacitors, there is a problem, and the problem is basically the self resonance of the lumped elements. So can somebody explain me what is a self resonance of a capacitor or an inductor? Any idea? So when we plotted the frequency response, right, we saw that after certain point the capacitor or inductor, they no longer behave like a capacitor because of the parasitics. The effective capacitance is actually different than what we expect, and because of that issue sometimes we are actually not able to use the the lumped elements. So the main issue with lumped elements is that first of all, at higher frequencies, as we know, there will be a lot of parasitic parasitic effects, and at the same time there is also tolerance. Like for example, if somebody says you a capacitor of 5 picofarad, right? Now that 5 picofarad is at a DC value. That's not at an RF value. We understand this thing. So we understand this thing that those value of capacitor or the value of inductors, those are at RF value, not at DC value. And due to that, what happens is that um, the components themselves, they are not able to, you can't rely on them. You can still use them, but the reliability is an issue. So that's why when you are using capacitors, inductors, first of all you want to use surface mount because you want to minimize the parasitic effects. Secondly, you need very high quality lumped elements. Now, because of that, what happens is it becomes harder to there is more process. If there is any process to process variation, it becomes challenging. But at the same time, it's also useful because capacitor and inductors take less space and they are much better, in terms of space requirement. But then there are microstrip lines, which are basically means transmission lines, and I guess you guys are also studying about transmission line in the other course where you are talking about antennas and stuff. But transmission lines basically is like a conductor separated from a ground using a dielectric. So basically what happens is that you excite your top layer, which is the conductor, and you try to create the electric fields and the magnetic fields between the top and the bottom layer. So you basically try to create the fields between the conductor and the ground. Since conductor is at a positive potential, because your current or your signal is flowing through the conductor, and your back metal is basically your ground. So that actually helps you to realize any sort of a network by basic as a impedance transformer, and you can match one impedance to another by using these transmission lines. And transmission line basically have two major elements, with one is length and another one is width. So length, as you guys might be aware of, we have studied transmission line before. Length is dependent on your the length of the transmission line is basically dependent on your electric length. So whatever your electric length is, like say for example 90 degrees, so that 90 degrees will correspond to some physical length, and similarly your impedance, whatever is the impedance of the line, will correspond to the width. The higher and higher you go in impedance, the smaller and smaller the width will be, or vice versa. So here it is shown on the left. You see this is like my PCB here. So for example, here is my transistor sitting. This black thing is my transistor. Now what happens is that you connect the lead of the transistor to the transmission line. So this is a transmission line, and this is 50 ohm connector. So basically what you want to do, you want to make sure that you connect this trace such that whatever impedance is seen by the transistor, and you are designing for a gain or efficiency or whatever it is, you want to match it to 50 ohms. So then here the transmission line is bent. I showed you this thing before, that we can bend a line. If the lengths are too long, we try to bend it the line so that we can fit this kind of circuit in a given area. Now there will be RF flowing through it. You give input as RF, then you have a transistor which can be an amplifier, and then you have output at the RF. Now you don't want your RF, you basically you have a RF, and then you give DC supply to this transistor, which is given through this path, basically this path through a capacitor. You give a DC supply by which the transistor actually operates. So at the output you will have RF plus DC both flowing. So you don't want DC to go into the RF path, right? Because what will happen, that say you are measuring your RF voltages or RF power, and because of if the DC is also there, it will just blow up your system. So you put like DC block here. You don't want DC to interfere with your RF signal when you are measuring at the output. Similarly, when you are supplying DC, you don't want RF signal to leak into DC path. So that's why you put like a inductor here, which is called as choke. So you put a choke here, RF choke, and you put a DC block in the RF path, and you put DC block in RF path, and you put AC block in the DC path, right? So that helps in separating DC and RF from each other. And then you put your transmission line, which is basically nothing but acting as a matching circuit, which is matching one impedance to another. So this is the story of microstrip matching techniques. And now what we will be studying today is that how can we use transmission lines and stubs, which are an open transmission line and a short transmission line, for impedance matching. So as I explained earlier, once you have electrical length, and you know what is the Z of the impedance, Z naught of the transmission line which you are using to transform impedance, then what you do is you have to calculate the width and you have to calculate the length of the line. And there are established relationships between Z naught and W by H. W by H is your ratio, basically the ratio of this is your width to basically the ratio of your height of the dielectric, or in this case this W by H is actually W by H is the width is to length ratio. And depending on whether width is greater than the length or vice versa, you can have this expression where Z naught is given by something, these are long expressions. But what CAD tools do, they take into account all these expressions, and then they give you a calculator through which you can calculate basically how much Z naught will be needed once you know the width, or how much width is needed once you know the Z naught. And I did show you earlier about the microstrip line calculator, and we will go through it once again. So as I mentioned, that the microstrip transmission line can be used in multiple ways. There can be a series transmission line, which means like how you used to put like a series L or series C. Instead of a series L or a series C, you can put series transmission line. Okay. Then you can put that transmission line in place of the shunt component. Like, for example, shunt L. Shunt L will act like a shorted transmission line. Similarly, an open transmission line will be like a capacitor. And then you can have a quarter wave line, like a quarter wave transformer, which basically transforms 50 ohm impedance or resistance to any value of resistance. By adjusting the Z naught of the lambda by 4 transformer, you can pretty much transform any impedance you want. And then you can use quarter wave transformer plus any of the stubs. We call them as stubs. Like the open ended transmission line is called open stub, and if we short the transmission line, it is called short stub. And we will go more into that, like what exactly it is. So here is, for example, say you have again an impedance 50 ohms, as we are aware of that our system impedance is 50 ohm, and that's what we want to match. And and we are transforming it to some impedance, say Zin in this case. So once we have Zin, we basically we are transforming Zin to 50 ohms. So what we will do, we can have a short stub, or we can have first element will always be a stub, right? Like how we saw, if you are at 50 ohms and if you want to move to ZL or Zin, you have to move on like a constant, any circle, like you will either you have to have like first element as your shunt L or shunt C. And when you put shunt L or shunt C, it is same as saying that I'm putting like a short stub or an open stub. And in this case, for example, you will have a length of a stub, okay? And then you will have an impedance of a stub. So this impedance in this case is, for example, 50 ohms. You can also have non-50 ohms stubs. And once you have 50 ohm characteristic impedance set, then you move on a Smith chart, which we will show, which we'll see in the next slides. You can move on the Smith chart, and then once you are on you reach certain impedance, then like how you were using series L or series C, you will basically use a series transmission line to move on a constant VSWR circle. So if you see, you will have a length of this, you will have a length of this. Now, since they both are of same impedance, 50 and 50, they will have same widths, right? As I mentioned, Z corresponds to width, and electrical length corresponds to the physical length. So that's why this becomes like an L shape, you see, because the width is same, and then there is L1 and then there is L2, and you are shorting this end of that. So this structure basically will transform 50 ohms to whatever input impedance is needed. So this is a very common practice, and we do many. We will try to understand through Smith chart. Then we will also try to understand this through a CAD tool, like how matching networks work. So alternate way can be, say for example, you don't have a Smith chart and you still want to figure out what is the for example, what is the impedance of a transmission line, what is needed. So either you can fix the length or you can fix the impedance of the line. So in this case, for example, we fix transformer, we fix, okay, my series line is lambda by 4, and my impedance is Z01. Similarly, my stub length is lambda by 8 or 3 lambda by 8, and my impedance is Z02. Now, if I know my impedance, for example, in this case, my impedance is given by Y in is equal to 1 over Z in is equal to G I in plus J B in. So the reactive part will be taken care of by stub. So I want my stub to compensate for the reactive part, and the real part is basically is the impedance which will be transformed by the transformer to 50 ohms. So if that's the case, the reactive part of it, which is JBN, will be the admittance seen by my transformer. So and the impedance here, G in is equal to minus 1 over R in, and then I have to use the simple equation of the impedance transformer. So if you guys remember, for a lambda by 4 transformer, the impedance is given by characteristic by underscore ZL over R in, because R in is the impedance here. So if my ZL is 50, so Z01 can be determined by the value of Rn. Similarly, for the stub, once we have once I know what is my JB in, so using that I can actually calculate what my admittance will be and what my Z0 Z02 will be. So as I explained earlier, the admittance will be for this will be equal to the admittance of the of my this ZO2 line. And if you basically what it is that my B in will be equal to my admittance, and when I do that, my Z02 is 1 over B in. And when you do that, you can basically calculate what will be the impedance of the characteristic line which you are using in series, and what will be the impedance of the the characteristic impedance of the line which is acting as a stub. So also it depends on the value of B, right? If your B was greater than 0, then yes, Y is equal to B naught. Now, if your B is less than 0, then you can use lambda by 8 short stub. In this case, you were using 3 lambda by 8 length of the short stub. If your B is less than 0, you use lambda by 8 short circuit stub. And short and open are separated by lambda by 4. I will explain you this once we get to Smith chart, because it will be harder to understand like this. So we need to first go back to the Smith chart and start understanding how stubs work on Smith chart. And I need to start writing now. So let me show you. Let me go back to that. Okay. Okay, so yeah, we will need this. So let's take the screenshot. Okay. Okay, so first thing, we know this is open circuit. This is short circuit. This is my center impedance, 50 ohms. Now you see if you try to read the values here on the sides, you will see it says wavelengths towards generator, another says wavelength towards load. So it starts from 0, and then this wavelength increase 0, 0.4, 0.05, 0.67, and all the way this comes here up to 0.25. So from here to all the way to this point, this is 0.25 lambda. Okay, so electrical length is equal to beta L is equal to 2 pi by lambda times length is 0.5 lambda. Okay, so this goes away. So this is 2 pi over 4, which is equal to 90 degrees. So 90 degrees is the electrical length. Remember this, when somebody says electrical length of 90 degree, if I have a say transmission line of I have a lambda by 4 transformer. When we say, so we can calculate 2 pi by lambda into 90 degrees. 90 degrees is basically my electrical length of the line, which is like pi by 4, and I can calculate L as pi by 4 times lambda over 2. So this length becomes lambda by 8, which is equal to 0.25 lambda. Oh, oops, no. Sorry, I did some mistake. Just 1 second. Let me go back. Okay, so what I was saying here is that when you have 0.25 lambda on Smith chart, that is equal to 180 degree of rotation. Okay, you are going from here to here. So the full Smith chart is actually 0.5 lambda. So you see this 0.5, 0.25 is here, and then 0.26, 0.27, 0.28, and it keeps increasing. Then it's 0.44, 0.45, 0.46, 0.47, 0.48, 0.49, and 0.5. ठीक है, तो total 360 degrees on a Smith chart. Remember, this is not exactly the electrical length. This is your rotation on the Smith chart. That is equal to 0.5 lambda. Okay, so this this you read from the this markings of the Smith chart, that what exactly length it will be. Now when we talk about open stub and short stub, okay, so open stub is nothing but, you have a transmission line which have Z naught, and say it has L1. So this is my transmission line. Now, can somebody tell me that how will be the rotation of a transmission line on a Smith chart? We did talk about it before, where somebody asked me, because what is the formula for ZL is equal to Z in. Somebody remember that? I actually forgot it. So the transmission line formula, what we have, if you start equating beta L, which is your electrical length, and you sweep it from 0 to 360, what you will see is, that the impedance will vary depending on what you take Z naught. This is actually Z naught. So if your Z naught is 50 ohms, you will see that you will move on a constant radius circle. If actually I'm planning to give this as one assignment problem, and you guys should plot and see that you will be moving on a constant VSWR circle. And I guess somebody asked me this before, and we had this discussion earlier, so I won't go into that again. So there is one thing, transmission line. So transmission line always moves on constant VSWR circle. Now the second thing is the stub. So if I use this transmission line and I just leave it like this, where this is connected to, for example, say my load, and I'm just leaving this as open. So this will be called as open stub. Now if I just ground this end of it, it will be called as short stub. So for open stub, your movement is like this. Okay. This is how your open stub works. So now, okay, so can somebody tell me what is this movement corresponds to in terms of lumped element? If we move like this on a constant admittance circle or a constant G circle and we move clockwise, what is it? Is it series? It is shunt C or it is shunt L? If you guys remember.
Shunt C.
Exactly. So shunt C is equivalent of open stub. Okay. Short stub. So both stubs, when you say stub, it means the element is always in parallel. Okay. If you move like this in an anti-clockwise direction, this is short stub. Okay. So short stub corresponds to shunt L. Okay. It has a similar behavior as shunt L. So for example, if you are using open circuit and you are matching something here, so you will have to go all the way and then you will use your transmission line. So let's first try to understand how transmission line moves. Okay, so let me go back to the transmission line journal equation, which is basically given by this is the expression of the transmission line. Z in is equal to ZL plus J naught 10 beta D, right? So let me write it here. Okay. So ZL is equal to Z naught ZL J10 beta. Okay, so this is your expression of the line. Okay, so what I want to first do is I want to go from I want to vary. So beta D, as we know, beta D is 2 pi by lambda times whatever my length is. Okay, so now what let's do, this beta D is equal to electrical length. So let's vary this electrical length 0, 90, 180 and 360. So if you start with 0, so when you basically you have no you basically have your length is 0, then your ZL will be pretty much equal to your characteristic impedance, which is the center of the Smith chart. Now once you have 90 degrees, then what happens, this converts to lambda by 4 transformer, and this becomes Z naught square over there should be Z in somewhere, right? Yeah, so Z, this is Z in. So Z in, Z naught square over ZL. So basically Z naught square is equal to Z in times ZL. Now if you know what is your Z naught and if you know what impedance you are transforming it to, you will know your Z in of the impedance, or vice versa. So if you start substituting the values of electrical length basically, and start varying it, so you should see that, you start from here. This is kind of your 0, this is 90, this is 180, this is 270, and so on. So you should be able to trace something like, a circle which moves on a constant, which is centered around 50 ohms. Okay, so when we have a transmission line, for remember, for series elements, for series L, series C, we were trying to identify a constant Z circle, and we were trying to move on that. But that won't be the case in case of transmission line. You have to be very careful. In transmission line, what you will do, you will put your center here. You will measure whatever is the radius from here to here, which means you might have to use a compass, and then you will plot a constant VSWR circle, which means you are plotting a circle with radius of this much, which means it will go something like this, oops. So it has to be a perfect circle, like, it should go with your compass. You will make it as a full circle. Whenever there is a transmission line moves on a constant VSWR circle, and it moves clockwise always. It will never move like this. It will always move clockwise. So when you do that, you will use a combination of both of these two things to match an impedance. So let's take an example. I think it will be much clearer when we solve like a problem. Let's say we have so let's take this example. Okay, this example. So we have Y, which is given by 4 minus 4i times 10 to the power minus 3, and you have to transform that to 50 ohms. Okay, so we will be using as it shows, there is an open stub. As I told you earlier, that there are short stub and open stub, and if you see this clearly indicates this an open stub, and then there is a series transmission line. So what you have to do is you have to identify what is the value of L1 and what is the value of L2. Okay, so let me go back and start drawing this, and then we will go from there. So 4 minus 4i, so y is equal to 4 minus 4i times 10 to the power minus 3s. So what we so this is absolute value, so the normalized y will be 50 times 4 minus 4i times 10 to the power minus 3. So this is 0.2 minus 0.2i. So this will be my y, right? So let's try to see where is this impedance on Smith chart. If you are using Smith chart, you can plot this impedance in parallel. So 0.2, and it's a minus b, so it will be in this will be in upper y will be negative in the upper half of the Smith chart. So 0.2 minus 0.2. So let's see y circles. So 0.5, 0.4, 0.3, 0.2. So 0.2 is this circle, and y of minus 0.2. So if I see, this is 0.4, 0.5, 0.3, this is 0.2. So 0.2 and 0.2, so this is my impedance. Say this is my A. Okay. So what we have to do, let's go back to the question. We have to match this impedance to 50 ohms. Okay. Or I am at 50 ohms. I always start at 50 ohms. Otherwise you will have confusion. Always start from 50 ohms. So now what we have to do, we have to go from here to here. So can somebody tell me what should be the first step? So this is my 50 ohms and I have to reach point A. What should be my first step? Any guess how we should move? And you also know that first element is what? First element is open stub. Which is characteristic impedance of 50 ohms. So if it is open stub, how shall we move? I told you for an open stub, we will move like shunt C. So we will move like this. Now the question is, how will you know how far you have to go? So for that, measure radius from center to A. So this radius. Okay. Now you know what your radius is. Now you will draw a constant VSWR circle, which means circle with radius from this point to this point. So remember, this is a circle. You are not moving on a constant G or a constant Y Smith chart. This will be like a circle. I cannot draw it like this, but you guys will be able to do it if you have a compass. I can try, but let's see. Roughly. So you see where it is intersecting with the with my circle. This will be my first point, say X, and then I will go on this. So first thing will be my length of my open stub, and then there will be length of my transmission line. Okay. So to calculate what is my length of open stub, what I will do, you know, this is my O, like my center. So to calculate, we have to calculate two lengths basically, right? So let's see. So this is, I told you, this is open stub. This is short stub. This is short. So for open stub, always you will be calculating the length of the line from here, from this point. And for short stub, you will always be calculating the length of the line from here. तो अभी हम क्या करेंगे? Once we have this, we will basically measure how much is the line length needed. So since it's a stub, we will first plot how much admittance is here at this point. And this will be my length of open stub. So in this case, this is 0.25 lambda. And let's measure how much this is 0.57, 0.36, 0.37, 0.38 approximately. So this is 0.38 lambda. So this is 0.38 minus 0.25 lambda, which is 0.13 lambda. So this is your length of open stub. So when you have this is 50 ohms. So the impedance of this is 50 ohms and the length of this is 1.3 times lambda. Okay. Now you will have the series line. Again 50 ohms. And this length. Now from here what we will do, we will draw a straight line. And then a straight line here, which is going like this. And the total line length will be, for the transmission line, will be this. So let's see how much this is. So we'll have to zoom in. So you see this is how much? 0.42 lambda. This is, here it is 0.5 lambda. So this portion, like this portion is 0.5 minus 42. So this is 0.08 lambda, this portion up to here. And then the top portion is from 0, you are going all the way to 0.22 lambda. So the total length of the line will be 0.22 lambda plus 0.08 lambda, which is equal to 0.3 lambda. Okay, so this will be your line length. So you will know what is your L1 and you will know L2. Now, if we have to do the same thing, but you, instead of using open stub, you have to use a short stub. Can somebody tell me how will that work and what should be the length of the lines? What should be my first step if this was not an open stub, but this was a short stub? Any idea?
So it will just use a short stub upward circle. It will intersect. ऊपर intersection point मिल जाएगा.
Exactly. So we will go like this. So let's say this is Y. And then you will move to A. And now, same thing we will do. Okay. Please bear with me. Let me change color so that there is no confusion. So now again I will draw a straight line. So what will be the length of the short stub? I told you for short stub we have to measure from here. We won't measure from here. Here you will only measure if it is open stub. So your length will be this for the short stub. So you see this is 0.7, 0.08 lambda. And the length of the transmission line will be this much, which is 0.22 lambda minus 0.08 lambda, which is 0.14 lambda. So if the same problem has to be done using short stub, then the length of short stub is what? 0.08 So length of short stub is equal to 0.08 lambda, and length of transmission line in this case is 0.14 lambda. Now if you know this and you know this, this is your case 1, this is your case 2, which one do you think is better? So again, this is 0.14 lambda and this is 0.08 lambda. And if you see, the line you require in this case is much longer than the line you require in this case, right? Your line length was all the way from here to here. Here your line length is just this much. So technically, if I use my short stub, the length of my line will be relatively smaller than the length of basically the length of the open stub. So I will prefer using short stub in that case. So that's how you match using stubs. Basically, you, depending on whether it is an open stub or it is a short stub, you will move clockwise for open stub and for anti-clockwise for short stub. And transmission line will always be on a constant VSWR circle. And at the same time, remember, when you are measuring length of a stub, you have to go on. Actually, this was technically not right. I should have, nobody pointed it out, because this is for transmission line, but for the stub I have to go on the constant admittance circle. So technically this will be my admittance and my length will be this, not this. From here I will measure transmission line, but my admittance, this will be actually 0.0, almost 0.11 lambda, if I am correct. Yeah. Or technically, na, you can also figure this out, right? The length of open stub and short stub basically differs by 0.25 lambda. So if in this case my this open stub was 0.13 lambda, my length of short stub will be 0.12 lambda in this case. तो ये गलत है, because यहाँ पर you have to go on a constant admittance circle, not just directly draw a line and measure. For measuring the length of the transmission line, yeah, you can directly draw a line and measure it, but to calculate the length of stub, like we do the way I have shown you, go on the constant admittance circle and then measure the length of open stub or short stub. So let's do another problem, but this is how this is kind of the simple way to understand it. I will just download it. So let's take another problem. Say my you guys can try this if you have Smith chart with you. I'm not sure if you have it, but you can try matching. Say let's take an impedance 15, Z is equal to 15 plus J25. Match this to 50 ohms. So tell me how shall we do this? 15 plus J25. So first step will be to mark this impedance. So let me bring Smith chart. Okay. Shoot, where is that place image option? It's here. Okay, so this impedance is 0.3 plus J 0.20. I'm just dividing by 50. So 15 by 50 and 25 by 50, which will be 0.5. Okay. So 15 divided by 50 is 0.3 plus 25 divided by 50 is 0.5. So let's first try to mark 0.3 plus J 0.5. Okay. So this is one, and now we are plotting Z. So we have to see the red circles. So 0.3 is here, and okay, this is better view. Okay, 0.3 and 0.3. So this is 1, 0.9, 0.8, 0.7, 0.6, 0.5, 0.4, 0.3, and 0.3. So 0.3, this is 0.3. So
Sir, aren't we supposed to do for 0.3 and 0.5?
oh, sorry, 0.5. Actually, today now I'm very sleepy, so please keep a check on me. So this is 0.5, thank you. And then this is 0.3. This circle. So this is my impedance. 0.3 plus 0.5i. Okay. So let's do the same thing. Let's first what you call match this with open stub and then short stub. So step 1, you have to measure what is this radius. Okay, and then draw. You will have to do what? You will have to draw a constant VSWR circle. Let me see if I can do justice for that. It's not easy. You can. Okay, something of that sort, reasonably fine. Okay, so first step will be, if I'm doing open stub, I will move on constant admittance circle, G circle, but on a anti-clockwise direction. So this will give me first point of intersection, and then I will move on the constant VSWR circle. I expect you guys to use compass and do it properly, otherwise I won't mark it. I am doing here because I can't use compass. So so you see, so this is your open stub. So let's then what we will do, we will first measure the length of the open stub. So to measure the length of the open stub, basically what we have to do is we have to first draw what is the Y here. So the Y circle is here. So this Y is 1.2. So this is J 1.1. Okay, and the length will be so this is 0.25 and this is 0.39, almost 0.38. So this is 0.38 minus 0.25 lambda. So which is around 0.13 lambda. And now to measure the length of the transmission line, I will draw a line from here, and I have already drawn here, and this will be my length of the transmission line. Okay, so this is what, again, 0.08 plus it's from here this is 0.0 and this is 4.2. This is also around 0. I'm just doing roughly but you can do carefully. So this will be around 1.6 lambda. Okay. If you use an open stub, and if you use a short stub, then again the same thing. What you will do basically, you will if you are using the short stub, then you will go from here. Instead of going from here, you will just go like this. And if you use short stub, you don't need a transmission line anymore. If this impedance is on this circle, that's it. You don't need transmission line. You can just match this using a short stub, because the impedance is lying on the constant circle. So that's it. You go from here and you will meet that impedance. So any questions so far? Any doubt or any questions? I want to show you this in ADS also once, so that you guys can get a feel of it. We will do the same problem in ADS and try to see what are the values we. Okay. So let's see. What was the impedance? 15 plus J 25, right? So let's go to Smith chart. And let's enter that impedance, that is 15 plus J 25. So it's roughly correct where we put the impedance. So let's first see with short stub, right? As I was saying, you technically don't need a transmission line. It's very close. Maybe very small line is needed. So you see, this is 50 ohms, 33 degrees. Okay. And this line is 50 ohm, 1 degree, 1.5 degrees. So we were right. Now remember one thing. This degree is the electrical length of the line, which means this is beta L. This degree is not the degree of the Smith chart. Let's not get confused. Let's be very clear here, because I myself sometimes get confused. When we say lambda by 4 transformer, that is 90 degree line, right? So 2 pi by lambda into lambda by 4. So that is pi by 2 is equal to 90 degrees. So this is electrical length. But this lambda by 4, which is 0.25 lambda, on Smith chart, that is 180 degrees. Right? Because we saw this is whole is 0.5, because whole 360 on the Smith chart is 0.5 lambda. So these are two different things. When one is the degree on the Smith chart and another is the electrical length. So what you are seeing here, 33.8 is the electrical length of the line. So take approximately 30 degrees as the electrical length. So if you know the electrical length 30 degrees, that is equal to 2 pi by lambda into L, that is equal to 30 degrees. 30 into pi by 180, which is equal to pi by 6. So L is equal to pi times lambda over 12 pi. So this is almost lambda by 12, which is equal to lambda by 12 कितना होता है? 1 over 12 is 0.08 lambda. So if you see the length of this line which we did, and again you will have to go from here on a constant admittance circle. Oops, sorry. This is approximately 0.08 lambda. So it's coming very close to this. I don't know why the resolution got so bad. Yeah, it's better now. So you see from here, you will go on a constant admittance circle, which is the blue line. Shit. Okay. Yeah. So you will, from once you are on this impedance, as I mentioned earlier, you will go on a constant y. तो कांस्टेंट y यहाँ पर तुम्हारा कुछ ये रहेगा. So your total length is around 0.09 lambda. Again, this is because I am not very approximating the radius of the circle when I am drawing it, but you see very close. And then you don't need this line. This is very small. Now, if I don't want to do this with short stub, what I can do an open stub. So I will go like this. And then I will take, see, this is what I was telling, constant VSWR circle or constant radius circle. You see, this is how you will have to draw the circle using compass. So you go here. You will need to adjust it a little bit. And that's it. So you need a transmission line and an open stub with length of 58 degrees and a transmission line of 54 degrees for open stub. Is that clear? Any questions so far? Okay. So let me show you now. So we saw, let's see how this looks like. So E line, I will just take a line and ideal. Okay. So what I am doing, I am taking, let's take an open stub example. Okay, first. So it said how much is the open stub length. So this length is 57.499 degrees. And for the series line, 53.9 or 54 degrees. Okay, this is open stub, so I'm leaving this port open. And now let's calculate what is the impedance looking this way from here. Okay, so let me just put like a quick S parameter. So can somebody tell me what will be the impedance if I plot impedance looking at port 1? What will be that impedance? That impedance should be this impedance, 15 plus J, what was it? 15 plus J25. So let's cross check it if it even works or not. 15 plus j 25, bang on. Okay, now if we use the same thing, but instead of open stub we use short stub. Short stub means I am just shorting this line, so I will ground it. So shall the length will be the same or length will be different? What do you guys think? Can I just change this open to short like this or no? Hello?
Yes sir, we can.
Huh?
We can sir, इसको बस ground करना है.
So you are saying I can keep the same electrical length and I just ground it.
No sir, electrical length change होगी.
बिल्कुल. So electrical length change होगी and we saw that I discussed it. You can short के लिए यहाँ से यहाँ जाएंगे, open के लिए यहाँ से यहाँ जाएंगे. So if I go back, I will have to redo this. I will have to delete this, and then use short stub for matching. So I will basically just go over here, and I need 50 and 33 degree. So delete this. 50 and 33 degree. So let's plot. This is what for port 4. So let's plot them on top of each other. So 1, 2, is it port 3 or port 4? It's port 4. So S44. You see? Because I didn't use that small transmission line. That's why it is not coming exactly on the top, but let me see. Okay. So if I go back, and I also add another small transmission line in clockwise direction. This is 2 degrees. You see, they're on top of each other. 15 plus j25. So it is perfectly matched. Okay. So it means the impedance looking at port 1 is perfectly matched. This impedance is right. Now my question is, if this is matched, why S11 is so bad? Technically S11 is the return loss, and then return loss is a very big negative value. If you guys remember, return loss is 20 log reflection coefficient, and if your match is very good, your reflection is 0, so 20 log of very small value should be very high negative value, but it is showing minus 4.18. So basically why it is showing this, because I am terminating it with 50 ohms. If I terminated with the impedance I was matching to 15, technically we do conjugate of that, 15 minus j 25, and then plot that, you will have excellent match. You see minus 42 dB return loss, and this red dot, what it is showing, it is showing that it is close to the center of Smith chart, which means it is perfectly matched. So I just changed this to see how good my match is. So if I do 50, I will measure what my impedance is, but if I terminate with the conjugate, I will know how good my match is. Okay, so this we did it, and we know what are the values of Z and E. Okay, now let's how much time is left?
Sir, 1 hour 30 minutes.
Okay, good. So let's now these are ideal lines. Okay, now I told you that from ideal lines we will be using line which will have width and which will have lengths. So let's take some realistic values, because then so that your values of length and width can be realistic. Let me take a substrate which is more feasible and viable. So so now this is ideal. Okay, this is ideal. So this ideal needs to be converted into your real lines. Real lines means whatever your z is, z should be converted to width. Whatever the electrical length is should be converted to physical length of the line. So let's go. So one way is you use equation, which I told today, that you can check how to calculate W and H. Another way is you go from we have something called as line calculator. I showed you this thing before also. So there's a width and the length. Okay. So now say I am at 1 gigahertz frequency and my Z naught is 50 ohms. So I am first converting this line 50 and 54. So this is 54. So I want to actually change this so that my length can be slightly smaller. Okay. 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 So for a given value of whatever dielectric you are taking here, you can see what is your width and what is your length. Okay. So I will just increase more dielectric. I just don't want it to be too big, the line length, but then width will be compromised. So let's just keep it 9. So so this is 31.36 and 717.5. Okay. So 31 point, so 9, 10, 9.6. Okay, just want to make sure that it is exactly as substrate, otherwise it will give you different results. Conductivity is copper here. This conductivity. What happened? Come on. Okay, so this is 50 ohms and my effective length was 54. Why is it not running? Might have to restart this. Okay. So I have to convert all basically lines into more realistic lines. Let me restart it. I'm facing some problem. Okay. Okay. So let's go back and okay. So 50, 54. Come on, work. So, okay, this is 10 gigahertz. We should change it to 1 gig because all our lines are at 1 gig. Okay, So this is 9.7, 701. So 9.7, 701. And for the open stub, since Z is same, the width will be same, only length will change. So width will be 9.7 and it is 57.5. So 57.55. 747. This is 747. So I am now converting ideal into more realistic values with width and lengths. Okay. So technically what I want impedance to be exactly the same, which is that I want to match it to 15 plus J, 15 plus J 30, 15 plus J 25. But now because I have a substrate, losses will be there. Okay. So let me first calculate S55. So I will plot on the same graph S55. You see S55 is also right on top of those. You see, so you are getting the right impedance. Okay, but what will be different? So this was 15 plus J25. So to check how good of a match it is, I will terminate it with the conjugate of it here also and here also. And I want to plot S11, S55. So you see S11 is very good, minus 42, which means the return loss is very, very good. And if I calculate S55, again, the return loss is still good, but not as good as minus 40. Why? Because now I am in more realistic world. And now if I calculate S21 will be the loss of the network. So you see in an ideal case, that's nothing. That's almost 0 dB. But now when I have real lines with the substrate, my S65, basically S65, it is worse than, I mean, still it's not very bad. But if you see it's 0.0016 and this was 10 to the power minus 3, this is getting better, 10 to the power minus 2. But this is perfect match. You see both of them are at the same point. So I know what is the width and the length I need for this particular line. And once I know that, I can generate layout of it. You see, this is one line, which was 9.7, 701. And now this is my second line, which is 9.7, 747. But the point is that these should not be connected. These should since this is an open stub, right? So what I will do, this will be like this. So this is my series line, this is my open circuit line, and this is now matched. You know, this is matched to 50 ohms. So if this is 50 ohms, this is 50 ohm, I can add another line, little bit extra line here. इसको extend करते हैं, because say if you have a connector, that connector will actually, you won't be able to connect connector right here. You know, as I mentioned, you will need some extra line. But since this is 50 ohm, this won't hurt you. Okay, so this is your series transmission line, which is this. This is your stub. And now it is 50 ohm, but in real world, you will have a connector. Connector will have a pin. So you will need extra bit of length so that you can solder it. You know, you can put something there. The second thing is, you see there is this overlap between the transmission line and the stub, and that overlap is because you know you will always have this T junction. Okay, so technically your length is slightly different. It's not exactly the same you measured, and because you need extra length for connecting the solder, you will extend it, and then you will run an EM simulation of it to see what basically what basic are you still getting the similar match or no, or is your match completely different? So let me show you cell 3. Is that cell 3 or cell 4? Cell 4. Okay. So file, import substrate from schematic. Okay, so this was my substrate. This is my PCB substrate. I have a dielectric 10 mil 9.6 and back cover. So cell 4, I will save it. And we are running at 1 gigahertz. So right now I'm trying to run an EM. So I will go here. I will select cell 4. So this is my substrate. And now, you will have to define ports, like, how we have defined port 1 here, port 2 here. Similarly, you will have to define 2 ports because third is open. So I will put like a port 1, and then I will put a port here, port 2. Okay. So if we try to see this, let's try to generate a 3D of this. You see, so this is your transmission line, and these are your ports, port 1 and port 2. So what this will do, this will EM simulate, it will excite these ports, and it will capture the frequency response of this transmission line. Okay. And with that, you will exactly know whether this structure can give you the impedance you are desiring for or no. Okay. So let me quickly run it at 1 gigahertz because you will see that there will be some difference as compared to the ideal line. So this is how my transmission line looks like. And then I will have a connector here. So why I'm saying we need extra line is because, let me go back to the lecture slides. You see here, say your matching is ending here, but you need extra piece because you want to connect this connector, and connector has a center pin. So that's why you always extend it. And now let me go and run at single frequency, at 1 gigahertz, and let's see what we get. It will take few seconds. So I think it's done already. It was pretty fast. So now let's try to go back. So cell 4, I will generate an EM model of it. So I'm just showing you now, but later on, after maybe another 3 or 4 classes, maybe 2 or 3 weeks from now, I will get the licenses, and then we will you guys will be doing all this for a real transistor. So those will be actually assignment problems. But what I will do, I will give you it so that you design the actual thing rather than just random examples. Okay. So say this is that structure. So now you can also simulate this in HFSS. I mean, if you are learning HFSS, you can play around. But the problem is in HFSS, you cannot do all this S parameter stuff. Or you can still measure S parameters, but you cannot basically do more stuff with matching and how this shows Smith chart and stuff. You can't connect active transistor, for example. So now our goal is to see how close this is to the design we did, to design we were checking before. So I will plot S55 and S77, and I want to see how close they are. S55 and S77. So you see S55 is still there, and let's plot S77. So I can't see S77. It's here. So you see it has shifted very little, even with EM simulation. So if I so what do you guys think? If I increase the length of this line, say I double the length of this line, what should happen? Do you think that point will remain there or that point will change? Say I'm increasing and bringing it here. What do you guys think what will happen? Any guesses? What should happen now? Any idea? Hello?
Sir, I think it will change. It will shift just a little bit to the right.
Why?
Sir, because we have increased the length.
Okay. Let's see. So I simulated it. Now let me rerun it. It's exactly at the same place it was. It didn't change at all. You know why that happened? Because when you were doing this value and this value already matched your impedance 15 plus J50 to 50 ohms. So you are already matched to 50 ohms. Now, even if you increase the length of this line to 2 kilometer, it won't change anything because you are already matched. Try to understand this. Say I am here and I'm matched to 50 ohms. Okay. And I try to use a transmission line with a length of 50 ohms. Nothing will happen. This is 50 ohms. I can make it 1,000-degree line, but I won't move anywhere because I am already matched to 50 ohms. Similarly, what is happening here is, even though I have this point is already matched to 50 ohms. So whatever I do here, this will not impact my design. I can go as far as I want. Nothing will change. But okay, let me show you again. I increased it more. Okay, and let me run it. Okay, this is done. So it is exactly at the similar place. Doesn't change. But if I change, for example, this, okay, and I shorten it and I rerun this. Now you will move drastically. Why? Because now you are changing the part of the match which was before you were matched to 50 ohms. So you are changing this length. If you change this, it will hurt you. So once you are matched to 50 ohm, you do whatever you want. Nothing will change. But if you try to change length of this stub, length of this line, yes, definitely, definitely it will impact your match. So this is the basic flow. Why I'm showing this you that in practice this is what happens, but fundamentally with the Smith chart and doing the basic matching like how I discussed today, open stub, short stub, how you move, clockwise, anti-clockwise, all that kind of stuff actually helps you to understand how uh, basically how to determine the length of the stub, how to determine the length of the transmission lines, and once you have the lengths and z of the transmission line, then you can convert those z and e's into w and l, and once you have w and l, you can convert it into a structure and convert it into a layout or the real structure. This is your metal here, and then you EM simulate it and then you see what happens. So this is a simple structure, but when you have an active device and when you start adding stuff, then it gets complicated and you might not get exactly the same result as you expect. So you have to make tweaks in your design, especially in EM. So that's why learning matching using Smith chart is very important, and we covered that today in detail when I talked about these both short stub matching, open stub matching, and if you have any question related to it, let me know now. Rest. If not, then we will continue with it. We will start discussing more about active circuit design from next class. And if you guys want, we can I mean, up to you guys, but I will prefer that you guys just go through, at least try to plot some impedances on Smith chart before next class with open stub, short stub, because I have another assignment, but I'm thinking of combining that assignment with the next couple of lectures. And it will be better from the next lecture if you can sit with compass and pencil, because you will need to draw circles, gain circles, stability circles, and for that we will need compass for sure. So yeah, I think that's pretty much for today. If you have any questions, let me know. Any questions regarding today's stuff? Ask now if you have anything.
So we always take length from the admittance
Hello? You are cutting, sorry.
measure the length. We always do it from the admittance circle.
Yeah, length always you will, depending on short and open, you will either go from, if it is open, you will go from open circuit. If it is short, you will go from short circuit. But for the stub length, it is always admittance circle. But for the transmission line, so again, for the stub, you will go to your admittance. And depending on whether it is short or open, you will measure either from here or you will measure from here all the way. But for transmission line, you will draw a straight line from the center passing that impedance, a straight line passing the whatever is your first intersection point, and there it's this length. So whatever the length is here and whatever the length is here, the total of this length. Admittance is only for
For this transmission line, you haven't taken it from the admittance part. You have just extended the this cutting this radius part, right?
Yes, exactly. It is exactly the straight line passing through the impedance and the straight line passing through the where it intersects the transmission line and this and this submodule. God, yeah, this is confusing because people make mistake. I also made mistake when I was drawing it. Any other question? Okay, then if you guys don't have questions, then I guess we are good for today, and we will meet. On Thursday, and we'll continue from here. But this is pretty much the story of open stub matching and short stub matching, and I think it is clear. Try to just plot and go through whatever we talked today. You can repeat this example by yourself, and you should be able to understand it. I will try to upload this document today right away after the class. Okay. Take care. Bye bye.